Hallöchen. Actually, it's Hallöchen, but it's close enough. Servus Freunde, my name is Jimmy Cage and Jungle Cruise is Disney's newest film that is based on a theme park attraction. They've done it before in the past with movies like The Haunted Mansion, Mission to Mars and of course the most popular one, Pirates of the Caribbean. And an initial thought might be that it's pretty stupid or lazy or creatively bankrupt to create a film around a mere theme park attraction. But first of all, I think you can turn almost anything into a great film premise if you find the right approach. And second of all, movies themselves were once also much more at home in the world of attractions and not so much primarily concerned with deep storytelling. So I always find a discussion if something is truly cinema or not a bit tiresome, because cinema can actually be a lot of things. And to my very positive surprise, Jungle Cruise is actually really entertaining. It is neatly crafted and it even tells a nice story with some good surprises that actually also work quite well. It's a nice throwback to old adventure movies, and I know that this comparison has already been made countless times, but it just perfectly describes the movie. Jungle Cruise is a mixture of Indiana Jones, the 90s version of The Mummy, and Disney's own Pirates of the Caribbean. It takes elements from all those beloved movies and almost all of it will feel very familiar. But contrary to my fears, Jungle Cruise feels quite genuine and everyone brings the energy and charm to it to make the old formula still work and take you along for this maybe slightly too long adventure. It was directed by the Spanish-American filmmaker Jaume Collet-Serra and its story goes obviously way further than what a theme park ride has to offer, if you can really even say that that one has a particular story. Apparently the ride is getting an update in light of the new movie, but it's basically just a very chill boat ride with a skipper who is making the world's worst dad jokes. Or best dad jokes, because they are supposed to be bad. Anyway, the movie version has of course some fun references to the ride and it even features some of the jokes, but the new story is very much a combination of the already mentioned franchises Indiana Jones, The Mummy and Pirates of the Caribbean. It is set in 1916 in the midst of the First World War and it's basically a treasure hunt with three parties involved. Our good guys, Frank, Lily and McGregor, played by Dwayne Johnson, Emily Blunt and Jack Whitehall. The bad guys, led by Prinz Joachim, which is Jesse Plemons' hilarious version of a German aristocrat, and our ugly guys, the mysterious conquistadors who searched for the treasure in the past and got cursed. Jungle Cruise pretty much nails the fun adventure tone it's aiming for. It's over the top and silly, but also not too over the top or too silly. And most of its more ridiculous moments are actually motivated or justified through the supernatural elements. It's aimed for a younger audience for sure, and I would have loved it as a child, but it's one of those movies that can be enjoyed by all ages. It's loud and it's bombastic, but it has a surprisingly big amount of heart as well, because its story is actually more engaging than you think at first, and its characters turn out to be more than just action figures in a wild ride. I mean, they are that too, but they are also fleshed out well and come across as real human beings. And one of Jungle Cruise's biggest assets is the great cast and the wonderful chemistry between them. Our main trio, Dwayne Johnson, Emily Blunt and Jack Whitehall, are really charming. They are all strong in their own rights. All three are the butt of some jokes, without the movie ever getting even slightly mean-spirited. Again, the formula is anything but new, and we have seen the big brash adventurer, the over-ambitious young spirit, and the snobbish, out-of-his-element guy many times before. But Jungle Cruise tweaks it enough and gives it enough heart and character to feel genuine. And again, the chemistry alone makes it work regardless of. It might sound strange, but I was honestly delighted to see Dwayne Johnson's and Emily Blunt's characters actually getting closer throughout the movie. I have the feeling that more and more of these big mainstream entertainers oftentimes lean into a more laugh and sexless direction. Unless it's a clear-cut romantic story, of course. But when it comes to action, adventure or thriller movies, I sometimes miss that certain spark between the lead characters. Because it's oftentimes underwritten or not there in the first place. Which can also be fine, of course, including a romantic subplot is after all the most common story trope to think of. But in a classic adventure story like this, I just like it. And it's a joy to see Frank and Lily, our two heroes, as this classic unlikely pairing that discovers that there's more to the other person than thought at first. And I honestly just like both these characters characters, as well as Jake Whitehall's McGregor, quite a lot. Lily is a strong young woman in a time when that was even more difficult than today, which reminded me a little bit of the first Wonder Woman. But luckily the movie isn't getting preachy or obnoxious with it, like in the new Dumbo. They do it in a fun and at the same time empowering way. And Frank is someone who from the get-go is lying constantly. It's not only part of his routine as a shrewd tourist guide, but he also lies to protect himself and his own intentions. But with someone as charismatic as The Rock, we never doubt his good-hearted nature. But we also understand why Lily can't fully trust him. And I don't want to spoil anything, but I really loved what they did in the second half of the film with Frank's character. And I also want to highlight a really touching little scene with him and McGregor. You will definitely know what I mean when you see it. Paul Giamatti has a sweet little supporting role, but the true comedic standout, like always, is Jesse Plemons. As a German myself, I might have an even bigger weak spot for his portrayal of this megalomaniac World War I military nut, and I have to say that his German is actually not that bad. Again, the comparison to Indiana Jones is pretty obvious, but there are also not that many really good big adventure movies in that vein, and I was just really digging it. Jungle Cruise also has some nice running gags, good plans and payoffs, and a sweet story progression. I think the pacing could have been better sometimes, and there are moments where I was missing that extra feeling of grandeur or wonderment. For example, the way the title is incorporated in the beginning is pretty lackluster and a missed opportunity. It should also be noted that, as expected, the movie is pretty CGI heavy, and while some of it is quite creative, like the nice designs of our cursed ones, it can also get a bit messy in some of the action set pieces, and some green screen effects are also very noticeable. The action is overall pretty decent, but a bit more clarity and a bit less CGI would have gone a long way, I think. The music was composed by James Newton Howard, and while it's always difficult for me to say much about it after just one viewing, I thought that it was mainly very functional, but also missing some more memorable and heroic melodies. But I also have to say that there's a flashback in the second half that's pretty awesome, but that's made even better by an absolutely fantastic kick-ass music piece that really got me emotional. So overall, you shouldn't expect a modern action-adventure masterpiece, but I think nobody was doing that anyway. Jungle Cruise is just a very sweet little throwback to adventure movies from the past that works surprisingly well in almost all regards. So in German I'd say, Jungle Cruise ist ein richtig vergnüglicher Retro-Action-Abenteuerfilm für die ganze Familie, der durch seine großartig aufgelegten Stars, die tolle Chemie und eine überraschend gute und immer unterhaltsame Geschichte glänzt. I give Jungle Cruise 8 out of 10. It's more like 7.5, but I don't do that.
Oh my gosh. Hallöchen!
Alright, that's it like always. Comment below and let me know what you think about Jungle Cruise. You can hit me up on Twitter, Instagram and Letterboxd, and also on Patreon simply at TheJimmyCage. And if you enjoyed this episode, please give me a thumbs up, share, subscribe, whatever you like. And make sure you hit that bell for all I have to tell.